Here we go. Tonight, I was hoping to have Austin Riggins teach, but then he said he's playing baseball like every night of the week. So he wasn't unable to fulfill, I think, what we were hoping he would agree to it. But then Jonathan Weibel was willing to jump in. So if you know Jonathan, he's right there with the blue shirt on and the baseball hat, almost like a baseball player. And
I was a baseball player.
See, now you look like one, an almost one. Yeah. And so Jonathan's going to be sharing with us tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to him, and I'm going to turn my mic off, make sure that there's nothing going on. And those are his dogs in the background.
Yeah. Come here. You want to say hi? No, they didn't want to say hi. How's it going, everybody? Good to see you again. I am again the backup, so which I love that. I love that position. So glad to be here. Love the Jepsons. Will's okay.
Love you.
Yeah, but good to see y'all. Hey, let's go around the horn real quick. Can we do that? And tell me who you are, and if you're in a sport, tell me what sport you play and all that. Let's start with Connor, since you have COVID Connor.
I'm Connor, and I'm on the baseball team.
Oh, nice. What position do you play, Connor?
I am a pitcher.
I was a shortstop. But I don't
like to run, so I became a pitcher, so I don't have to do that.
Yeah, or hit. Do you?
No.
Are you good hitter?
Not anymore. I'm not as good as I was hitting.
All right. Kate, tell us about yourself.
I'm Kate. I'm sophomore on the women's soccer team.
Oh, wow. You are a stud.
Trying.
Yeah. Hi, Sam. I know you a little bit, but tell us about
Hello. I'm Sam. I also play women's soccer with Wheezy.
Oh, Wheezy.
Wheezy.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yep. You got to call her that. That's the only thing she likes to be called.
Yeah. All right. Lauren, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren. I play women's lacrosse, and I'm a junior.
Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing. How about Sadik?
Hello. I'm Sadiq. I'm a returning student in Nad Athletic at all. I'm just here.
That's right, Sadiq. You're okay. Yeah. And Mike, you play quarterback, we know, for Penn State. Yeah. Carmen, how about you?
Hi, I'm Carmen. I'm also not an athlete, but my friend told me about this group, and so I thought I would check it out. This is my first meeting, but I like sports, so that's cool. I'm a dancer, so I'm not on the Linettes, but I dance, so that's cool.
Dancing is athletic, so it counts.
There you go.
Oh, absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know what anybody else tells you, but this is all you have to do to be allowed here. You have to play a sport, like a sport, know about a sport, or know that you ever watched the sport, or even know that they exist, and that's all that matters to qualify.
I played field hockey for like 10 years, so that's a sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Carmen, how do you say your last name? Because I just have to know.
DePippo.
DePippo. That's so fun to say.
Yeah.
DePippo. Well, hey, where are you from, Carmen? What city?
I'm from the DC area, like right outside of Washington, DC.
Okay. My daughter lives in that area. My son-in-law. My daughter is she's gonna be a police officer in Baltimore. So she's
very cool.
A cadet right now. So far she's been punched in the face. She's been yesterday she was maced in the face. Last Friday she had to get in a gas chamber with tear gas, and then this week or next week she's going to be tased. So like any one of those four, I'm out. Just I'm done. Yeah. So she's tough.
Mm-hmm.
She's tough. Can you believe that, Randy and Sue? Marie's going to be a police officer in the city of Baltimore. Crazy, right? Yeah. They know my daughter really well. We adopted both our girls, and Randy and Sue were a big part of that. I was pastoring their church, and they were a big part of that. So All right. Hey, Marco, Vespa. I have 2 Vespas, by the way, Marco. I know Vespa means wasp. Tell us about yourself, man.
I'm a freshman here at Penn State. I'm on the wrestling team and just love for Christ. I want to learn more about him, so that's why I'm here.
Okay, wrestler. Thanks, Marco. How about Timothy? Are you there? Timothy Herget.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
here.
Tell us about yourself, what sport you play, maybe where you're from.
Okay. I'm from Connecticut. I'm a sophomore. I play volleyball.
Okay. Awesome, man.
So
Welcome aboard.
thank you.
Ethan, how about you? Tell us about yourself, where you're from, what sport you play.
For sure. Sorry, trying to figure out Zoom on the iPad. It's
No, you got it, man.
so I'm a junior from outside Philadelphia. I don't play any sports for Penn State, but I play a lot. So
Nice. Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm a freshman on the women's soccer team, and I'm from Minnesota.
Wow. A lot of 3 soccer players tonight. That's impressive. Quinn.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Quinn. I'm a senior. I am not an athlete at Penn State, but I love this group, and I'm from outside Philly.
Nice. Well, welcome, Quinn. Glad you're here tonight. Appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm filling in for some cool baseball player tonight. So I'm glad that you're even having me. I'm kind of the fill-in guy when somebody drops out. I'm in. I told Will I'm glad to do that. Glad to jump in. I want to just talk tonight a little bit and then kind of get some feedback from you. We're going to talk. I'll just show my hand right away. We're going to talk about our neighbors and what it means to love our neighbor, which might not a surprise to Ruth and Alan, I'm sure, but because they know this is my life now. I'm gonna really share a couple scriptures with you, but one scripture that made me quit my job. And so I want to give a little backstory to me. I grew up in a little town, maybe like some of you guys, about 8,000 people in my little town. And I loved the neighborhood I grew up in. I was really fortunate. I grew up in a really nice neighborhood. Everybody kind of hung out with one another. It was a small town. Everybody knew each other. We all felt safe and we felt cared for. And it was like the mid 70s. I graduated in 83 from high school. So it was kind of that era. And we played outside unsupervised without hand sanitizer and came home when the streetlights came on. I don't know how many can relate to that, but we had block parties frequently. We played in the street, and especially when it rained, because when it rained, the sewers didn't work very well. And so the streets became swimming pools. And yeah, we had no idea we were swimming in sewage. We were kids, and my parents didn't care, and our friends' parents didn't care. And we had this thing growing up called a party line. Maybe Randy and Sue will know about this, but basically, not only did we not have cell phones back then, but we shared a telephone line with 3 other people on our block. And it was called a party line. And so basically you would talk on the phone, and you'd have to make sure your neighbor wasn't on the phone, or sometimes you'd quietly, stealthily pick it up and you'd listen in on their conversation. And that's how you got all the gossip that you wanted. I don't know how many have heard of that, but we had that. Our family ate dinners together, no matter what, no exceptions, every night. And that's kind of where I grew up. And the one thing that was like constant in our life, it's kind of funny, is that we lived on the front porch. And I got on Google Maps today, and I'll show you there's my house. Isn't that like so middle America house? And so I grew up and I lived on that front porch in Bellevue, Ohio. Just lived on the corner of a street. We loved living there. You know, our neighbors were our best friends, our first responders, and we lived on that porch. We spent hours sitting on that porch and talking with neighbors. It wasn't weird for uninvited neighbors to come over and sit on the porch and swing on their porch swing for an hour. So that was like normalcy for us. And people used to sit on their front porch, and that was their Facebook, that was their Instagram, that was their Twitter and TikTok. And I guess if they were forgetful, that was their Snapchat. And they found out about each other the old-fashioned way, face-to-face conversations. And the front porch was vital to communication in our little town and information. And sure, you didn't see like 15 pictures of somebody's dessert on Instagram, but you really got to know people. You really got to have meaningful conversations and look them in the eye. And you could talk about politics and religion or whatever you want, because you were face-to-face, not hidden behind a screen. But somewhere along the line, I think it was maybe in the late 80s, 90s, the front porch started disappearing. And the front porches shrank and the back decks got bigger. And we started to live for more, I would say, privacy and less interruption. That's what we as people started to value. And we'd freak out when somebody would ring the doorbell now. Before it was like great, but now like we freak out and we hide. And somewhere along the line in the last few decades, we stopped valuing our neighbors. I want to share the scripture with you because this is the scripture that made me quit my job. I was a pastor for 17 years. I was a lead pastor for 17 years. And I loved being a pastor, and I loved the church that I was at, and I planted 3 churches in the area, and was having a great time. But then this passage kind of hit me in the face, and I'm going to read it to you. It's Matthew 22, 34 through 39. Let's see if I can probably bring it up for you too. Hold on a second. Kind of a little bit of a Zoom idiot here. I'll get it. All right, here we go. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees with his reply, they met together to question him again. One of them, an expert in the religious law, tried to trap him with this question. Teacher, which is the most important commandment in the law of Moses? Jesus replied, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these 2 commandments. And I had read that. I've been a Christian for 33 years, and I had read that several times. But it became really important to me 5 years ago when Susie and I moved. We moved from where we were to a new neighborhood, and we began to kind of reflect on, have we really lived out the great commandment, right? And have we really loved our neighbor as ourselves? And we realized all the places that we've been, we've done an okay job at loving people in the church, outside the church, but not the people that were in our proximity and the people that were around us. You know, Jesus says the entire law and all the prophets hang on, it says in another version, hangs on these two commandments: love God, love your neighbor as yourself. And I think it's really significant when you think about it, because in the Old Testament, there's 613 laws that make up the Old Testament. 365 are thou shalt nots. They call them the negative commandments. And then the rest of that 613 are positive commandments, are ones that thou shalt. You know, some of those laws are national laws. Some are moral laws. Some are like liturgical or cleansing laws. But Jesus said, out of all of them, they all hang off loving God and loving our neighbor as ourselves. And Susie and I realized we hadn't done that. I love that Jesus really simplifies everything. I'm a simple person. The bar's pretty low as far as intelligence. I mean, you know, I went to school at Bowling Green and played baseball there, and for my freshman year, and I had a whopping 1.9 grade point average, and yeah, so I'm low on intelligence. Randy and Sue will probably concur on that, but I love how Jesus makes it simple, like I can understand it. Everything hangs on love God, love your neighbor as yourself. You know, all the rabbis back in Jesus's time, they had what was called the yoke. And the yoke was their teaching. It was a thing that they put on their students. And Jesus, what does he say in Matthew 11:28? My yoke is easy and my burden is light. I think he's talking about the great commandment there, not just when you're tired and you're frustrated and you're lonely and you're hurting, come to me. Yes, that is part of it. But he's saying my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Jesus's teaching is easy. And so we began to get laser focused in the last 5 years on the great commandment. And I happened to read a book called The Art of Neighboring, and the book struck me with this simple challenge. If Jesus said this was the most important command in the entire Bible, why aren't I a better neighbor? And we all know that we should treat everyone as neighbors, both our countrymen and foreigners, and even those who hate us. We should treat them well, love them well. But what if when Jesus said to love our neighbor, he meant our actual physical neighbor? What if I started with my street and my block, my dorm, my apartment complex? What if I started there? The gospel is fleshed out in how I love God, but that really is a big part of that. Is how I love God is really how I love my neighbor, you know? And what would it mean to just start loving the people who were closest to us? So Susie and I have been on this 5-year adventure of loving our neighbor and loving our neighborhood. And it's been exciting. We're seeing the tide change. We're seeing kind of a culture shift in our neighborhood. You know, we've done different events and different things like that with other people who want to be a part of the neighboring movement. But it's really just like every day praying for our neighbors and loving our neighbors, doing our best and letting them love us, and having that two-way street, because a relationship isn't just me doing everything for you. A relationship is I need you too. And so we've been on this neighboring adventure for 5 years. And then not too long ago, we just made the decision, this is what we need to do with the rest of our life. Act 1 in ministry, I was a youth pastor and worship leader. Act 2, I was a church planter. And Act 3 in our life, we are devoting it to loving our neighbor, to loving God and loving our neighbor. And just want to see what happens when we do that. How will the world change if we do that and if we teach other people to do that? When I resigned from my church in September, the last thing I said was this. So I said, revival is going to come to our valley in 2 ways. It's going to come through a revival of prayer and neighboring. And so we need to be all in on our knees and be all in neighboring, sharing the gospel with your neighbors and friends. And then I just dropped the microphone and walked off. And so they had a little like thing party for me in November. And I don't know if you can see this, but the broken microphone that I broke the microphone, by the way, a $300 microphone, but they put that quote on there for me to hang on my wall. So I have that now. So anyhow, there's a thing. So just FYI, this is a freebie, but there's a way to drop a microphone, and I just really never had done it before. So I like kind of dropped it on its head instead of just like a flat dropping. So, just FYI, if you ever want to know how to drop a microphone and break a $300 mic. But so January 1st, I started a new job at Calvary Church, and I kind of pitched the idea of being a neighboring pastor. It's called Front Yard. I'm the director of Front Yard Missions at Calvary now, and Pastor Dan there he's really gotten behind it and is really, we're kind of changing the paradigm of what church looks like and how we do church, and a lot of it's going to be in our neighborhoods. And I think my job is to catalyze a love your neighbor movement, not just in our city, but all around our country. And my job is to simply convince people to do the thing that Jesus said was the most important. I want to convince you as well, hopefully a little bit tonight, that maybe Jesus knows what he's doing, and Jesus knows what he's talking about, and Jesus is smart. And so maybe it would serve us really well to love him and to love our neighbor as ourselves. I got another scripture, but I think I'm just gonna like go into, let's ask some questions and share tonight. I kind of screwed up my screen, so I don't quite know what I'm doing here. So hold on a second. Did I share my notes too? Okay, good. I had notes somewhere. I'm like, did I share those? Hey, so I've got some questions for you. What are some ways right now? And I get we're in a pandemic, but what are some practical ways that you can love your neighbor or your teammate? There's a little, reactions if you want to put a hand up or just open up your mic and start talking. Like last time I called on Sam like every time because I knew she'd talk, but I'm not going to do that, Sam. But what's a way that you can practically love your neighbor? I hear somebody's mic open. The Jepsons?
Well, I can say this from a point of experience as a teammate. I know when I came to Penn State, I didn't know my teammates, and I transferred as a senior. And I was looking to see God do some things. And I'll tell you what was more impactful than anything was I took it upon myself to do the dishes every day. And by doing the dishes and keeping the kitchen clean, that was a language that they had never heard or seen before. And it spoke volumes. And it wasn't long before they were asking me a lot more than just, why am I doing the dishes?
That's awesome. That's so good, Randy. Like, it's just a simple, practical thing that no one else probably would do, and you did it. That's cool.
I have one. You didn't get to meet my good friend Allie here. She's on the soccer team as well. But I'm gonna call her out because she did something today that was a beautiful.
I was gonna say that. All right, go for it.
Can I give you credit for it? Oh my goodness. But I was in a 3-hour seminar, and she knows my love language is coffee. So she came into my room during my class and handed me an iced coffee from Starbucks. And that's such a simple nice way to just remind someone that you're thinking of them, knowing your order. I don't know. I just think it's a unique way to love your neighbor through little acts of service and gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Sam, did you feel seen by that?
I felt very seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Allie, good
she
job.
had
Let's
my
all
order.
clap for Allie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The exact order. Good friends. She was gonna call herself out, but I beat her to the punch.
Yeah, it's better. You know, Jesus said it's better if, you know, like he moves you up the table instead of your, you know, that's good. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Who else? What's a good practical way you can love your neighbor or your teammate?
I'll share something that just happened today. Also, actually, my roommate last night did the dishes for us. Our dishwasher broke this week, so there was quite a pile in there. But just this morning, was up before and noticed that she did all of them, and just put the little sticky note up on the fridge that just said, "Hey, thanks for doing this." And when she saw it, she was like, it meant a lot to her. Just it was really simple, but I think that's a good way.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Weezer. Is that what it is? Is it Weezer?
Wheezy, but that works too.
Sorry. By the way, our dishwasher broke too, so we're in the same thing. Yeah. It's funny how inconvenient that is. Like, you know, it's just like, really? You can't hand wash your dishes, Jonathan? So anyhow, like I kind of think it's about the same amount of work actually, because we wash our dishes off and then it's but you feel inconvenience. First world problems. Man, Marco Vespa has the best name ever, everybody. Like that's, if I change my name, I'm gonna legally change it to Marco Vespa. There's so many good things going on with that name right there. You're welcome. Oh, your mic. Okay. Thanks, Marco. Appreciate it. Who else? What's a way that you've been loved, or like Sam shared a way that Allie loved her with coffee? Sounds weird. But what's another way that you can kind of love your teammate or your neighbor? Your neighbor is, I would define it this way. Like your neighbor is anybody God brings in your path during your day too. You know, it's not just we focus a lot on proximity, like your neighborhood, but it's also, as you guys know, as many of you know, as athletes, it's your teammates, you know, like I put neighboring in three categories. I'm actually writing a book right now called Print Your Mission. There's three categories for it. Global neighboring, which is kind of like very broad. The whole world's my neighbor. I've got a friend from Nashville, Tennessee. He's a pastor, and he builds these global neighborhoods all over, obviously, the world, in like Uganda and Haiti and India and Guatemala. And he takes teams, and some of them stay there for life, and he renovates a single neighborhood, and it's amazing what he's doing. So like there's this global neighboring thing, and there's local neighboring, which is what we've been talking about, people who are nearby. Neighbor means one who is nearby, by the way. And then there's what I call tribal neighboring, which is really important. You know, your tribe, your teammates. For us, Susie and I, we lead the Bernice Mountain Dog Club of Central PA. And so we have, I think, over 700 members in our club, and that's a place where we can love our neighbor too, you know, and share Jesus with them, and just love them. Even if we don't share Jesus with them, we just love them and care about them. But we've had a lot of great spiritual conversations. So what are some other ways that you can love your neighbor? 'Cause I know you got a bunch. Thanks, Wheezy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that in my case, I have a roommate who is really busy with his work, and and always working. But lately he's been playing a lot of video games. But he doesn't play just any video games. He plays games online with his brother, and I don't really like video games that much. I just like if someone invite me, I probably would play, but I wouldn't really do that. But when I watch him, the video games he plays, like I'm not really interested. It's kind of weird because it's like a soccer game, but with cars, and you have to drive around and hit the ball and make it to the goalie. And I was like, I'm not that interested. But I always see him in the headphone with the headphones, talking to his brother. So um, one time he was just sitting there by himself, and I was like, "Hey, what are you up to?" He was just, I knew he was playing, and like he asked me, "You want to play?" And I was very hesitant, but then I realized, like, man, I don't really like hang out with him that much. He was always working, doing his thing. So I did that, and man, that game I was playing, I ended up even talking to his little brother with the little mic I never used in my life before, and it was kind of cool just just talk to him, interact with him. He was really excited because he knows I don't like to play just to play, and I think in a weird way that was kind of like a way we share our time
Yeah.
when it was kind of difficult to just sit down and have a good talk and conversation.
Yeah. So it was like kind of a sacrifice for you to do that. And he recognized that.
Yeah, I think he did because I really like don't, like I said, unless someone else is playing and they want to challenge me into something, I might do it. But I see him sitting there every other week or whatever with his brother. So with his brother, and I'm not very interested. But then I don't know, that day I was like, it was kind of hard for me. But then I realized, man, I should spend more time with him because this is the only time he gets to do this.
Yeah. So now you're playing soccer with cars. I did watch a 3-minute video today of a turtle and a dog playing soccer together. Just FYI. It was riveting. True story. Anybody else? How about Ruth? Ruth is actually part of our Front Yard Mission group. So if you want to go to Facebook and join our group, I'd love to have you. Front Yard Mission is the name of our group. We right now there's a Facebook and Instagram group, but yeah, I'd love to have you be part of it. How about Ruth and Alan? What are you doing in your neighborhood there?
Well, we moved into our neighborhood that we're in now right before the pandemic. So we have met people. And, honestly, just being out on a walk and saying hi to people, they seem to really appreciate that. But I do have a story. My micro group, which is in my neighborhood, decided this year to do an adopt a family for Christmas. And we got kind of a non-traditional family, 3 different people who live together who have disabilities. And I don't know what had happened, if they'd been evicted from where they were living, but essentially got out with the clothes on their back. And so we were able to bless them with some things as Christmas gifts. But when I went with my neighbor to drop off these gifts for this family, there was a woman who looked like she might be able, I've lost a lot of weight. So those of you who know me may see a little bit in my face. But a lot of my clothes don't fit anymore. And so I had gone through and the ones that were still in really nice shape, I had set aside. I might be able to find somebody to give these clothes to, or I'll donate them someplace. And so I wound up texting this woman after I met her, and I said, I might have some clothes that you could wear some nice warm clothes, because the day that we were there, she was in a t-shirt. And she got really excited at that. So I was able to bless her with things that I was no longer using. So in some ways it feels like a cheater way of doing things, because I wasn't really giving up anything I didn't need or that I needed. But I know that I provided something for her that she could use. And I don't know if it blessed her, but it sure blessed me.
That's good. And you gave away your clothing. You're not going back to that place you were. That's what I.
Right. It's true.
You know, that's kind of a good thing. That's cool. Thanks, Ruth. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I'll just share one thing real quick. We were coming back from picking Jaden up down in Florida, and we were driving through a Wendy's, and decided as we were coming up to the window, just felt prompted to pay for the person behind me. Well, they were taking a while to order, and because I'd handed my card to the guy in the window, and said, "Take care of that one too." And he was dumbfounded. He did not know what was going on, and it was really interesting to watch his reaction, because I didn't even think about blessing him or being a neighbor to him. I thought about the person behind me, but by doing it for the person behind me, I also was a neighbor to him, and it just kind of brightened his day a little bit too. So that was kind of fun.
That's awesome, Alan. It's good. We've been doing that a lot at Calvary, and our mission group's been doing that a lot. So I've been doing these 52 weeks of kindness. I've been every week I'll do something and challenge people to do it. And so that was one. I lost the footage. I filmed it, and I lost the footage for the first one. And then so I did it again. And the first one, they bought, I thought I was supposed to buy coffee, and they got 3 meals, and then the next person, and then I did it again because I lost the video footage, and it cost a little bit of money, but fun nonetheless. So cool. Say, Deke, well, how's things in your life, man? And have you experienced any neighboring, and any way you've been loved, or any way that you've loved?
Yeah. I live in a neighborhood full of a lot of older people.
Yeah.
So I help out a lot. I cut grass and shovel snow and all that. But there's the lady directly across from us. It takes her forever to get the newspaper every day, and so I just figured I'd wake up earlier and toss the newspaper, put it in her door. But it's cool because she gives me cookies once a week. So I think I'm doing it for the cookies at this point, but I can't let her down.
That's awesome, man.
That's cool.
Dude, I could have a bromance with you. That's awesome. I love that, man. That's awesome. That's great. I love that you're shoveling snow and cutting grass, and that paper thing is just genius. That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. How about Miss DePippo?
Okay, so every Monday I really hate Mondays. So every Monday I challenge myself to do 5 random acts of kindness every Monday. I never forget. Yeah, so a couple weeks ago I made breakfast for all of my roommates. I'm in state college now, but when I was at home, I'll do stuff for my family, my parents, people I work with. I work as a dance teacher, so I work with a lot of families and a lot of kids, which I love it. But just trying to do random things, because I don't know, I feel the world's just a really scary place right now, and everyone can just use a little love, even if it's just breakfast or shoveling snow or something like that. So
Carmen, you're a rock star, man. That's incredible. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, so great. That's awesome. How have you found it challenging, to love your teammates or your neighbors or whoever? How have you found it challenging during the pandemic, or has that been easier? Has it been helpful or hurtful, do you think?
I know for me, some of the people that I consider most as my neighbors are people I work with. And I've been in my office 4 times since March. And there have all been times when nobody else is there. I was there last Wednesday. I just kind of got sad that I'm not walking up in the halls and bumping into people and just being able to talk and do some of those things. So, you almost have to plan it as far as, okay, let's make a play date and go from there. But that's been hard because especially with work stuff, because this isn't time to do a lot of that.
But what he won't tell you is he put together little care packages for a lot of people on his team. And we drove all over Center County delivering care packages.
Wow. That's cool, guys. Anybody else? How have you found it challenging, or has it been helpful or hurtful during the pandemic? Chime in. Maybe one more person.
I'll say something.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, Connor, are you going to say something?
Yeah,
Take it away.
I was going to say, I think it's a combination of both. I think in the beginning it was very challenging, especially when like the season was lost. 'Cause I'm so used to being around teammates like all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think at first it was challenging, but I also think it's taught me a lot to check on people. I think ever since like just with mental health and everything, how people have been affected each way. And so I think for me, I think it's definitely been helpful because it makes me check on people a lot more. Especially with me going through it right now, like having teammates who've gone through it during the fall, knowing how challenging it actually is to, I guess, be around people, not be around people like I normally would be.
Yeah.
But it definitely has been helpful too, because like I said, it makes me just want to reach out more, makes me want to know more and keep in touch with people that I normally wouldn't. So that for me, I think it's a combination of both, but I definitely think it's been a blessing more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right, Connor. Mental health is so important right now. I think the pandemic has really, and the isolation of it too, has really amplified the stuff. Whatever stuff we have is really amplified that. And so I'm glad that you can use it as a time to encourage people and check on them and all that. That's so important. And one of the things that I did, and it was a huge blessing to me. I didn't expect it to be, but I took care of my father for like 5 days in Ohio, and so I drove. And on Christmas Eve, I drove back from Ohio, and I just decided I was going to call a handful of people and just tell them how impactful they've been on my life. And so I called and left a message, or I talked to them live, and I don't know, just 6, 8, 10 people, something like that. But it was a blessing to them. But I found myself like really moved and reflecting on how these people had loved me into existence, who I am today. It was a powerful thing for me and for them, maybe, I don't know, but hopefully it was. So anyhow, I think that's cool to do, Connor, and thanks for doing that. Sorry, someone else was going to share. We didn't get a chance to hear them.
No, he said it. He did good.
Yeah, good stuff. I've found it hard to love my neighbor just here because of the pandemic and not being able to get together, because Susie and I were doing some events, and we set up our garage this Christmas as like Santa's workshop kind of thing. We had a Santa Claus come in who's part of our Bernice Mountain Dog Club. He's like a real live, not real live Santa Claus, but you know what I mean? Like he's that's what he does. That's his gig. And I think all of those guys are pretty, how how do I say this nicely? Unstable. Um, no, he was great, but but anyhow, I don't know, we had 50, 60 people at our house, and they brought their pets, and Santa sat with their pets, and we did photos, and then we sent them off. So we tried to find creative ways, but like one of the things that we did a couple of years ago, I'll show you a picture of it, was like we just did this thing, we called it dinner in the driveway. Can you see that? And so we put up signs in our neighborhood, and we weren't able to do that this year because of COVID, but like we have this RV driveway, and so we set up this long table, like hoping people would show up. And then that night, so hold on a second. Is that being shared right now? Can you see the table with the people?
No, we can't see the table. We just see the signs.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me. So I was sharing other things. So hold on a second. I'm so terrible at this. I'm so sorry, guys. You don't ever have to have me back. I understand. So in my RV driveway, we set. Can you see that? Thank you. Yeah, table. And then we actually had people show up, which was like super cool. So then all these people in our neighborhood came, and like I miss stuff like that. That's my jam, you know. I love that kind of thing, and we try to provide those kind of neighboring opportunities. We work with kind of 5 or 6 families in our neighborhood that like are on board with it and like want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of Front Yard Missions and loving our neighbors. So anyhow, that's some of the stuff that we're doing. Hey, as we close out tonight, and I really enjoy this group, especially Sam. I mean, Sam's my favorite. I mean, she's awesome. And so I got to come watch a women's soccer game. I mean,
Yeah, you're invited.
Is it happening?
Oh yeah, it's happening.
When's your first game?
February 22nd, 21st.
Okay.
But we play Rutgers in New Jersey, so.
Yeah, but it's Rutgers, you know.
Yeah, it's Rutgers. But our first home game is.
Don't look at me.
I don't know.
We have fans in, Sam.
I don't know.
Okay.
They haven't told us yet, but if we can like put tickets aside, you're all invited.
Okay, I'm sure my wife and I would love to go. So yeah, especially since we know like 4 players. Like
yeah.
We're
the team right here. That's all. These are the only 4 you got to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, so maybe we can kind of end our time. Well, I don't know if we can go into breakout groups. Can you make breakout groups real quick?
Yeah, I can make some breakout groups.
And let's just pray for 2 or 3 of the people who are our neighbors right now. It might be teammates. It might be our physical neighbors that live in our dorm or our apartment. It might be whatever, somebody else. But let's pray for them. And so I wanted to share this too, like before we leave. There's like a passage in Acts 17. It says, from one man, he made all the nations that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and boundaries of their lands. God did this God did this so that we would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. So from one man, God made all nations that we should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out the appointed times for you and I in history and the boundaries of their land. God placed you where you're at for a reason, to be the very hands and feet of Jesus, to be the reflected light of Christ. He placed, I think it's more important. It's more important where you are than what you do, you know? And so God has strategically placed you wherever you're at so that you can love people, share Jesus with them, so that they would seek him and perhaps find him. I wanted to share that with you, and it kind of gives us some prayer juice. So anyhow, yeah. All right. Well, should we do that? Let's pray for 2 or 3 neighbors. Hey, if I don't get to see you guys, God bless you and great seeing you. Sam, friend me on Facebook because I want those tickets. Okay.
We're already Facebook friends.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we
Come
are.
on.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. I'm sorry.
Hey,
All right.
I'll bring us back out of the groups, the small groups back into this one, and then we'll spread out from there. So you, Jonathan, other than me kicking you off, everybody else will see each other.
Okay. Love you all. God bless you. See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks. You invited me to a room.
Yes, you're in. I figured you want to pray too.